Have you ever wondered what it takes to dominate in the front row, to march teams back and win penalty after penalty, produce some serious scrum form for the group chat the next day? Well, as a former front row myself, I've been in over 1,000 scrums, and in this video today, I'm going to be detailing my 3 favorite methods that I've used myself and with my athletes to help them become a dominant front row and feared come scrum times. Firstly, what you need to realize is that being a front row, you are a force dominant position compared to something like a halfback. So first things first, before any fancy training methods, you need to realize that strength is going to be the solution to the majority of your problems. If you look at the likes of Andrew Porter, Fletcher Newell, and Tinku, you will see absolute mutants squatting tremendous amounts of weight, and look at the success they have come scrum time. Success leaves clues, and the one thing that they all have in common is that 2 times bodyweight back squat standard. So make sure that your priority is here first. You want to make sure that you're squatting twice a week and building that up. In season, if you're struggling with recovery, you can substitute one of those squat patterns for a trap bar deadlift and aim for 2.5 times your body weight as a 1 rep max on that. And that is going to provide you the strength base that you need to be dominant. And once you've got that, there's 3 key methods that we use with our athletes that really help them accelerate their learning come scrum time and fine-tune those specific skills that make you a monster. The first training method on the list is going to be an isometric method, and it is going to be the overcoming isometric. Now, why this is super valuable for front row is you're going to produce maximal amount of force at specific joint angles, which is going to be super valuable for scrumming, because if you think back to a scrum, once you've locked horns and that ball comes in, both teams are in an all-out shove to produce as much force as possible for as long as possible until the other team caves in. So normally, those who can produce the most amount of force for the longest period of time are gonna come out on top come scrum time, and this is where this method comes in handy. So to perform the overcoming isometric, we like to use a back squat, but you can do it with a trap bar as well. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna get set in your normal squat position, and you're gonna position pins so that when you come underneath them, you are in that kind of scrum position, which is just past 90 degrees with the legs. And then you're gonna push as hard as you can. The benefits of this exercise come from how hard you push, because you can slack off and then you can come down, or you could push as hard as you can and really try and think about lifting the rack up. The goal of this is to push for 8 seconds. So it's up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and relax off. And we're gonna perform 5 reps. So you'll last in a set of 40 seconds, and you're gonna do 3 to 4 sets. And you're gonna use this over a 3 to 6 week period in place of one of your back squat sessions to help develop that maximal force production, which should help you become a better scrummager. So training method number 2 that we love to use is something called the inertia squat. Now, the beauty of the inertia squat, it can be done one of 2 ways, and both have their utility for front row players. So we're going to run through them both. The first is the dynamic effort inertia squat. And the way that this is going to be performed is you're going to have a sub-max load on the bar, anywhere from 20 to 60% of your 1 rep max. You're going to set the pins up in a similar place to where you did the overcoming isometric, and then you're going to lower down to the pins. The goal when you touch the pins isn't to completely relax off, it's to maintain that tension in the lower body and explode up dynamically, moving as fast as you can. Remember, this is a dynamic effort method. So as you lower down, rest on the pins for 2 seconds and explode as fast as you can. That way, you're gonna help train the snap, which is gonna happen just before that ball comes in. So the next variation of the inertia squat is gonna be a maximal effort method. So you're gonna add more weight to the bar. Roughly, you want these to be loaded anywhere from 90 to 120% of your 1 rep max. And then the same principle applies. You're gonna lower down to the pins, but tap and go. Similar, like a box squat, but you're using that little bounce off the pins to be a lot more dynamic and shift more weight. Remember, this is a maximal effort method, so we want to load these heavy. Whichever one you decide to use, run it for roughly 3 to 6 weeks in your program and watch your scrum performance improve. So the final training method, which isn't actually a training method, is To stop skipping your accessories, that is point number 3, because while max strength is important and prioritizing a big back squat is there, what you need to realize as a front row, you need to be doing your robustness work. And for me, this comes down to 2 areas. Number 1, mitigating injury risk, and number 2, improving performance. And the key areas that you need to focus on are first, your forearms. You need to be working some pronation to supination stuff to help strengthen those elbows through that bind. You also then need to be working through some flexion and extension work, and normally capacity is going to be your best bet. So setting up things like a wrist roller where you're going to work that flexion, and then you're also going to eccentrically lower through that, is going to help with your forearms. One of the other things that you can do for your shoulders is you can do hanging. You can come onto a bar and you can just hold, and you can see how long you can hang out here. Not only is this going to be wonderful for your shoulders, it's going to help tax your grip. Once you've done that, the second area that you need to focus on is your core. Doing things like barbell rollouts. You need to realize that in a scrum, you need to show tremendous amounts of isometric strength. So doing things like a rollout is going to be wonderful for building that. You can then also do things where you're doing a suitcase hold, and you're just going to hold that isometrically and locking that core in. So not only are you working the flexion extension properties, you're working how we bend side to side. And the final and most important area is your neck. You need to be including neck work into your training if you want to improve performance and decrease injury risk. You can do isometrically to start off with. Things like a neck bridge where you hold for as long as you can are going to be perfect. You can also add a weight and get loaded extension movements, but make sure to train both sides as well. You need to make sure you're getting not only the extension but the flexion, and they are going to be my favorite 3 training methods for front row to dominate come scrum time. However, here's one caveat. You've got to realize that no matter how strong you are, how much isometric force you can produce, how good your starting strength is, your neck strength, your core strength, your grip, it is all going to be underpinned by your ability to scrum. The scrum is called the dark arts for a reason, and it is a skill in itself, and it is a very hard skill to master. So as a front row, while yes, you need to be prioritizing the general physical qualities that make you a better scrummager, you need to be practicing the specific skill of scrummaging itself to make sure that you're transferring those general qualities to on-pitch performance. And that is how you step up as a front row this season.